Yes, hello, hi, and welcome to this new moon in Scorpio presentation. It's just me, Rain Lawrence from Black Queen of Pentacles today. Amu Clarity is back in Jamaica. As many of you will know, she lives there ordinarily, but she was back home in Canada for a short time. And she just landed back in Jamaica a couple of weeks ago, and she's having some connectivity issues. If you know about Jamaica, you know that is often happening over there on the island, back a yard. So apologies from Amu. It's just little old me today. But I didn't want to renege on my commitment to both myself and this community that I would observe every new and full moon throughout 2023. In fact, probably throughout my life now. I've been into moonology for a couple of years, and I just love this kind of structure that it gives to my month and my year, just to know that, like, you've got this 2 week cycle of activity when you set your intentions at new moon, and then this 2 week cycle of releasing when you approach when you reach full moon. So yes, here I am. I'm alone, but we will get through together. So again, we are Black Queen of Pentacles. It's usually Amu Clarity and myself. This is the QR code for if you'd like to join us over on Telegram. It's just a way to communicate with us more intimately. And of course, we will upload all of the links to the various things that we're getting up to on there too. All right, so let's get into it. This new moon in Scorpio is today. I'm actually filming it on the day because due to the connectivity issues, we're kind of a bit on the back foot. But I kind of like that. I think it's got quite a Scorpio sort of spontaneity and like flying by the seat of your pants vibe to it. So it works perfectly well. So it's a very competitive sign. And no shade to any Scorpios. As you probably know by now, all of us have elements of each sign and each planet and each house in our chart somewhere. So I really urge you to go ahead and Google free birth chart or free natal chart and just put in your date of birth, your time of birth, your place of birth, and you can get pumped out for free everything you need to know about yourself, because of course it's not just the star sign. So yeah, you could feel that you're having issues of like competitiveness basically, because Scorpio is known for its kind of intensity and determination. Like if they set themselves a goal, they are like a dog with a bone. So watch out for that. It's also quite an intense sign. It's water sign. So the water signs kind of have this reputation for being emotional, can like fly off the handle, over exaggerate, and Scorpio is no different. Yeah, so just watch for that this week. It's now Monday the I have to check. Monday the 13th of November. Interesting that it's 13 actually. You'll see why in a moment. Yeah, so it's quite intense. It's also a bit snarky. Like I have a couple of Scorpio friends, and I've got quite a bit of Scorpio in my own chart, and they are like, I love them. I love them. I think because I'm a Gemini, so we have like this silver tongue and this wickedness with words. And I feel like Scorpio has similar. They can kind of like cut you with their words, you know. So watch out for that. It's also very electric, this new moon in particular. So I have had this week my toaster, every time I use the toaster it trips the electrics, and so that does not surprise me that that's begun to happen. And I've had the toaster for like years, and I've had it in this property for the 4 months that I've been here, and it's been absolutely fine. And now this week, it's just every time I use it, it ends early and trips the electrics. So yeah, I'm gonna have to get a new toaster. But yeah, that sort of thing. And you might feel that you're feeling like a bit pins and needlesy or more energized than usual. So use it in whatever way you see fit. Don't waste that lovely electric energy. Eclipse season is over. So on the 4th of November, sorry, no, dial that back. Eclipse season is over. So that means that you might feel this sense of like a real winding down. I always kind of feel this time of year anyway, but it seems to be quite early because it's almost as if all of the kind of biggest events of 2023 are now over, including eclipse season. Yeah. So all of that strong energy that we get in eclipse season is done now. So it's like, yeah, there's no kind of real big headlines anymore for this year. So it's time to sort of go inwards, start to sort of reflect on the past year. Of course, we do still have December 21st, the solstice, winter solstice, but that's more like a celebration. It's not necessarily something that's going to bring in or impact life hugely. And Christmas if you celebrate Christmas, and Thanksgiving if you celebrate Thanksgiving. And then Saturn stations direct. So that was on November 4th. And I believe it was retrograde from about, oh God, I can't remember if it was March or May this year, but it's been quite a few months that Saturn's been retrograde and it's now direct again. And as you might know, Saturn is the planet of challenges and lessons. So the fact that it's now direct, it could be that like you're actually going to get the rewards of the challenges and lessons now. So when it's retrograding, you're kind of like learning and overcoming, and where it's station direct, you can kind of go, oh, okay, like that was the gold in that lesson. Because I do really feel like it's always for your highest good. You know, challenges, life would be dull if it was just like, oh, I want this and then you get this. But the gold and the sort of meat and substance of life is actually having to go through, isn't it? And not just be handed it on a plate, and strive and grow and learn. So I think, is it a Nelson Mandela quote, isn't it, about like I never lose, I either win or learn something. It's something like that. I've probably hashed it. I'll Google it later and I'll put it in the show notes, in the comments. So yep, that's Saturn stationing direct, or has already stationed direct. Awesome. So on to Scorpio placement. So as I said, once you get your birth chart, you'll see a lot more of what's going on for you individually. So for me, my Scorpio placement, I have quite a bit. I'm one of the Scorpio in Pluto generation. So because of Pluto's like the speed at which the planet Pluto travels, it kind of fits neatly into sort of generations. So my generation, born between 1983 to 1995, we're the Pluto in Scorpio people. So we often have very strong intuition. We're extremely passionate. We've got this like darkness, mysterious vibe, like willing to kind of divulge. What's the word? Divulge? No, not divulge. Like traverse our subconscious, our ego, our psyches. We're that kind of tortured artist vibe. Like what's his name? Oh God, the Nirvana guy. The lead singer from Nirvana who commits suicide. He's very much of that like Pluto in Scorpio generation of like, they have so much talent and wisdom, and it's like oppressive, you know, like we kind of see how the machinations of this world are, and we can't bear it. It's that kind of vibe. So that's going on for me. It will be going on for you if you're born between 1983 and 1995. You likely went through some very challenging times, but were able to persist and come out on top, and that's a very Plutonian Scorpionic energy. So the ones before, if you were born 1939 to 57, you are Pluto in Leo, baby boomers. If you were born 1957 to 1972, you're Gen X. And yeah, they have like a totally different vibe to the Pluto in Scorpio lot. So that's me. And I also have Scorpio in my 11th house of friends, network, social circles, and what I'm wishing for. And also my 12th house of my deepest, darkest fears, spirituality, the most sensitive parts of myself, self-sabotage, the ego, spirituality. So yeah, check out what your what your Scorpio placements are, and let me know because I'll be interested to see and how it might be impacting you this new moon. I do feel that like I do have this sort of I'm like really into shadow work, and I think that's because of my Scorpio in the 12th house. Like the 12th house is the dark, shadowy house, and I've also got this dark, shadowy, um, sort of intense sign there. So I do a lot of like introspection and like sort of picking at my wounds in a sense, and I like that. I think it's useful. I don't think like Pluto and Scorpio people are not the ones to be like, oh, I'm fine. We're like, but we're also not like the blubbering messes. Like, oh, it's been so hard. We're like this is really interesting and juicy. Why am I like this, and what happened to me? It's that kind of vibe. Like we explore it with a sort of forensic intrigue. Very odd. So that is Scorpio placement. Oh, planetary rulership. So it's interesting that Scorpio seems to have two rulers in a sense. So Mars, I think, was its traditional ruler, but more in modern astrology, we talk about Pluto being its ruler. So if we look at Mars first, Mars has this animalistic energy. It's about the will and exerting your will and being like combative and warfare. It's the survival instinct of humanity. So this is very topical when we think about what's going on the kind of world stage at the moment. And that's not to say that Israel and Palestine is the only conflict happening at the moment, but it's certainly the one that seems to be most front and center currently in the media and possibly in our sort of human psyches. Excuse me. So, yeah, the fact that that is sort of front and center right now doesn't surprise me. And I think it's really interesting the way that this scorpionic energy of like judgment and um sort of a bit of sort of virtue signaling. I think I've seen a lot of virtue signaling on my social media at the moment, and it's like, well, of course it's awful, like that kind of goes without saying, and I don't really see any value in people being really like bleeding heart about it. And maybe that's my bad because I'm a very sort of like cerebral intellectual Gemini sun and moon. So I kind of don't do a lot of emoting. I am more a sort of strategist and a rationalist about these things. So if you're not, and you have a lot of water in your um, chart, and you are more emotional than I, then yeah, maybe that feels really cathartic to you, or just is like a compulsion. Maybe you just need to get that off your chest. So I'm not throwing shade on anyone. We obviously all cope with these horrible events in the only ways we have at our disposal, so it's no shade, but I've just been interested to watch all that unfold and see my own reactions, because yeah, it sometimes feels like people are kind of saying that my way of dealing with it isn't good enough because I'm not out there vocalizing and emoting that it's wrong. And I kind of feel like, well, it's obviously wrong. Like, and my public emotional responses to it don't change the facts. So yeah, that's a little aside there. But to be honest, it's all love, like I said, you have to cope with this however you can, and it is a really dark, hard time for all of us, because obviously we're not designed to see this. We're designed to see the 100 people in our small local community, but now we have to see everything that's going on in all parts of the world at all times, because we have these little like microcomputers in our pockets, and we have a screen on the wall and a screen in the pocket and a screen on the sofa. So yeah, just however you have to cope, that's fine by me. Sorry, that was a big old conjecture just for Mars. So yeah, that's the Mars survival instinct of humanity, I think, going on there. We care immensely about our fellow man. and especially when they're suffering and having genocide or violence or conflict or trauma and devastation. So the ancient ruler, sorry, the modern ruler is Pluto, and Pluto, again, as I mentioned, is all about taboos, transformation, subconscious, the underworld. So this can be brought up with the new moon in Scorpio, and we're going to have a little ceremony, ritualistic element later, and I'll try and use that scorpionic energy in this particular ritual. So it's also a lot of Mars energy next to this because of the previous rulership, and just because Mars is close to Scorpio at this time. So yeah, again, you're just going to feel that kind of passion of Mars, the drive, the will. Yeah, try to use it effectively. It can be used any way you like, this will. So try to focus it in areas that are going to yield positive results for yourself or your family, rather than just arguing or battling a lost battle or a lost cause. There's also a Uranus clash at the moment. So this is the planet of chaos and craziness. So I guess my advice would be to just kind of batten down the hatches. Do you need to know about all the craziness? Because there's going to be a lot. So pick your viewing, pick what you choose to be a part of wisely. Because it is kind of all spectacle, really, at the end of the day, isn't it? If unless you are physically in that space, if you're just watching it from a distance, it's a spectacle. It's almost an illusion. So choose what you engage with and which illusions you present to yourself at this time, because it is a very psychological sign, Scorpio. So we don't want to sort of traumatize ourselves with what we're viewing. Alrighty, we're going on to the houses now, and the houses that are impacted by this new moon are as follows. So if you have Scorpio sun or rising, it will be impacting your first house. And the first house is of appearance and image, self-identity, how you come across to others. If you have a Libra sun or rising, it's going to be impacting your second house of cash, property and possessions, values, including how you value yourself. If you have Virgo sun or rising, is house 3, which is communication, siblings, neighbors, quick trips and early education. If you are Leo sun or rising, it's house 4 of home and family, all things domestic, where you belong, and the past. So I know that Amu has Leo rising, I believe, isn't it? Yeah, she's Taurus sun. So yeah, that makes total sense, I think, for her, because she has just moved from Canada back to Jamaica. I mean, she spent quite a while in Canada. So it is kind of like a move. So yeah, I mean, I won't say very much more about that because obviously she's not here to defend herself. House 5 is Cancer. Sorry, if you're a Cancer sun or rising, it's house 5. So we are talking romance, creativity, kids, yours and others, pursuit of pleasure and love affairs. If you're a Gemini sun or rising, it's house 6 of daily routines, including at work, your health and duty. So yeah, I think I definitely resonate with that. I have been working a lot more. I'm launching a business in January 2024, so I have had to kind of get very structured with my day today, so that I'm making sure I'm getting everything done, because I'm kind of, yeah, I've got like 3 businesses. Well, when I launch this third one, I'll have 3 businesses, so it's kind of like you can't afford to be flowy and just do what you want. You need to kind of be very structured and rigid and ensure that everything's getting done at the right time. So if you are a Taurus sun or rising, it's house 7, which is about lovers, spouses, your ex, open enemies, any sort of partner, business, romantic relationships, cooperation and competition. So yeah, I'll let Amu speak to that in the comments because I'm not sure if she would agree that that's something going on for her with this new moon. If you're Aries, Sun or Rising, it's House 8, which is joint finances, credit cards, debts, sex, anything you consider taboo, inheritance, and transformation. If you are Pisces, Sun or Rising, it's House 9, which is study, travel, the great cosmic quest, the internet, higher learning, religion, and big dreams. If you're Aquarius, Sun or Rising, is House 10, which is your career and ambitions, how you make your mark on the world, what you're known for, and your reputation. If you're a Capricorn, Sun or Rising, it's House 11, which is friends, networks, social circles, and what you're wishing for. And if you are a Sagittarius, Sun or Rising, I have Sagittarius Rising. It's your 12th house, your deepest, darkest, most sensitive part of your chart, your fears, your spirituality, your self undoing, withdrawal, and dreams. So yeah, I have been having crazy dreams lately. And when I say crazy, it's more, I don't really often dream. So for me to dream or remember my dreams at all is kind of crazy. But and then I think, dreams are never kind of normal, are they? So I've been enjoying that. I love it. I like dreaming. I'm annoyed that I don't dream more. And as for the undoing, yes, I have been working with the theories of, I think her name's Carolyn Holt, and she has a book called Existential Kink. So if you get a chance to read that book, please do. It's really great. And she's got a very interesting theory about how to um, improve your life, basically. I'll just sort of summarize, but do get the book and do work through the exercises. So she talks about evidence, having being evidence of wanting. So all of these problems and issues in life that you have, you want them because they wouldn't be there if you didn't. And it's a bit confronting because it's not kind of consciously that you want them, but the fact that they're there means that some part of you, hidden, subconscious, unconscious, the ego, something you're not willing to acknowledge, wants that. And so she gives you tips and a guide as to how to acknowledge that wanting, enjoy it as a sort of kinky, sort of sadomasochism almost, and then whereby doing so will enable you to get past that. Because until you acknowledge that there's something you love about it, you will never change it because you're still kind of stuck in this sort of shadowy, unacknowledged um, underworld kind of. So that's very scorpionic, and I think you will enjoy that. So yeah, check her out. Existential Kink by Carolyn, I think it's Holt. I will check and I'll put it in the comments. So we're going to move on to our ceremony. So for this, because I mentioned that Scorpio's got this really sort of like a sting in the tail, silver tongue. So it's a good sign for cutting ties because of that snarky electric vibe. So we're going to do a self-limiting belief session. So what I would suggest you do is write these phrases and complete these phrases. So I have one example just to let you know the type of thing, but do as many as you can think of, basically. So the first phrase is, in the past, my self-limiting belief was that. So I've put in the past, my self-limiting belief was that I would become ill if I worked too hard and really went for it in life. And then the second statement is, but that's nonsense. The truth is, so I've put, but that's nonsense. The truth is, I get ill from living small, and my health and well-being have a positive correlation to what I'm doing and with whom. And then the third statement is, realizing this, I am going to. So I've put, realizing this, I am going to make deep, profound, romantic and friend connections and work and play as hard as I can. So you can just do that ad infinitum, as many as you can think of. So those three. And I will put those three in the comments so that you don't have to pause this. But yeah, so when you do that, you can burn them or keep them in a like box somewhere or keep them under your pillow to review at the full moon in the 27th of November. Yeah, cool. So that is what I would suggest for you. And then we're finally on to our tarot reading. So yeah, I mentioned 13 earlier. And it's interesting that Scorpio's tarot card, so each sign has a tarot card that relates to them, is 13, and it's the death card. So the death card is about transformation, metamorphosis, endings and beginnings, sacrifice, loss and rebirth. It's kind of the transformation that's heralded by a loss. You know how it's like we have ongoing, we're always in this cycle of life, death, rebirth, life, death, rebirth. So every death is a birth, kind of, because yeah, you know, it's like a cycle. So if you're dead, you're going to be coming back as something else or something new or something different. It's like the caterpillar to a butterfly kind of thing, and the pain and struggle and loss of that metamorphosis. You know, it's ugly, it's stinky, it's bizarre, it's scary, it's terrifying, it's unknown, but it is necessary and you can't resist it. So when we see this card, or when we think about Scorpio energy, it's about mourning the death, but not resisting the metamorphosis and not resisting the new cycle, and not dwelling too much in that mourning. So, you know, of course, mourn in whatever way is appropriate, but that, I guess that's the word, appropriate mourning, not too histrionic. Yeah. That is the tarot of Scorpio. All right, so that's lovely. It was really nice talking with you today. But I much prefer having my little friend Amu, and apologies for the kind of lateness. It's just on time. Just. But yes, by the 27th of November, when we have our full moon in Gemini, we'll be back to normal functioning. And thank you so much. Please, if you liked this, like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, come back on the 27th of November for full moon in Gemini. Thank you. Love and light.